And just like that, folks, there we have it. LeBron James is officially going back to Cleveland with the Cavaliers, as reported by SI.com, Sports Illustrated. Lee Jenkins was the first one to get the story out when he had the time to write it up. It sounds like it may have taken a few days, actually. Well, maybe not a few days, but I mean, just the fact the SI likes to go a little in depth with some of their stories, and so for this one, I'm sure LeBron James spent a day or two at least kind of talking in between his basketball camp to Lee Jenkins and kind of getting this story put together so that it could be put out. My rapid reaction to the whole situation in which LeBron James will be returning to Cleveland is the same as probably what most people's reaction was on Twitter, was that they're kind of almost happy for LeBron, not I guess really for LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. They were able to patch things up after everything that's happened over the last 4 years to kind of get this this fairy tale story not to end, but to get it going again, I guess you can say, because if he didn't go back to Cleveland this time, it didn't look like it was going to be possible. And, you know, with the police in front of his house and everything the other day, or yesterday, July the 10th, today's July the 11th, when he made the decision, if the cops were there, it could have turned, even if the cops, imagine if the cops weren't there, and he decided to go to Miami, they wouldn't have been very happy at the location of LeBron James's house in Akron, I can only assume, after not being snubbed once but twice by LeBron James. Now, with that being said, he goes on to say in his, most people are calling it a letter, an article, whichever way you want to see it as, but he talks about him joining the Miami Heat because of Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and the sacrifices that he made, not that he made, but that they made, the big three. I mean, I'm sure many other people, to keep players such as Udonis Haslem, who was a big part of the Heat's organization and their roster. And he mentions being a big brother and to a certain extent to Mario Chalmers. So it's nice to see him acknowledge those kind of players, and it goes to show you that he really is a team player, and he wishes the Heat the best, and the players that he has spent the last 4 years with the best, more or less. And him and Pat Riley, they had a good relationship, and a lot of people didn't think he could leave Riley. Many people think that it's impossible for anyone to leave Pat Riley, but LeBron James is the exception in this case, apparently. It looked like things were going to go back into the favor of the Miami Heat when it was reported, and I saw the video for myself, so I know it did happen, in which LeBron James was on his way to Brazil, but before going to Brazil, he was in Las Vegas for his basketball camp. He had to make his way to Miami, which I thought was weird. I thought maybe he was going, to make his announcement there that he was going back to the Miami Heat. Dwayne Wade was on the plane, kind of in his ear. I don't want to say in his ear, but more or less, he was kind of that last resort for the Heat to maybe try to get him, unless, Wade was kind of he was understanding in what LeBron James' decision was, going back to Chris Sheridan. He has been saying for the last 2 days or so, and a lot of my sourcing as far as where my story came about on sportsmindednews.com was because of what Chris Sheridan was reporting, and that he was willing to, put his journalism career on the line because he was confident in his sources. Yeah, he said it may happen. It was supposed to happen on July 10th, but a few hours into July 11th, I mean, if you're going to be picky about it, then sure, go ahead and, I guess you can talk smack about it all you want. But, I mean, with things like that, you're basing your source and the information he's giving you off of a player's, in this case, a player's life and decision, in which if it doesn't happen within the 24 hours, I mean, you can't really take that to heart, because in the case of LeBron James, and this goes to what I've been kind of saying on Twitter, you know, what people wanting the decision of LeBron James and even Carmelo Anthony for that fact to hurry up, because many people are making it sound, or it's coming across as many people just want it to hurry up so they don't have to hear about it anymore. If that was the case, you don't have to turn on ESPN, Fox Sports 1, any of those stations. You don't have to listen to the radio. You don't have to be on Twitter. You know, if you don't want to hear that much about it, then you don't need to put yourself in this situation and then talk about it. The reason why ESPN and all them continued to talk about it like they were doing to cover the story was because everyone was talking about it. If you guys don't want ESPN and everyone else to make a big deal about it, not saying that they would or would not, but don't continue to give them the ratings that they are. Now, I'm not discouraging anyone from following or watching anything that has to do with sports media. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, for the people who complain about it, you're only adding fuel to the fire by continuing to watch it. So now, with that said, if you guys, and by you guys I mean those who have said they wanted LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony to hurry up with their decision, now is that because other players' futures are in jeopardy, or because you just want them to hurry up to see if they're really going to your favorite team or not? Because if that's the case, like I said, it's a life decision on them, and if any of us were in that same situation, the last thing we would want to do is to be rushed. The other thing with that, if you want to take into consideration the other players in the league, and they can't make any, or the teams that can't make any moves until LeBron James makes his decision. As far as I know, LeBron James or his camp or whoever, it's been clear for quite a few days now that it was only between two teams. And the only players who are directly affected was, of course, Chandler Parsons, because of the 3-day contract, him being a restricted free agent, him getting the deal with the Mavs. Now, if the Rockets wanted to match that, they could, and they might, but all that would come down to whether Chris Bosh was going to be there or not. And in order for Chris Bosh to be there, he was stuck in a situation in which he was either going to take the max deal with the Rockets, which it looks like he is now, because LeBron James is not returning to Miami, or if LeBron James was returning to Miami, then we would see Chris Bosh going back to Miami. So with all that going on, I'm pretty sure, Chris Bosh never made a fuss about it really, so he knew that once. He probably knew before most of us did that if LeBron James was leaving, and I'm sure LeBron James was looking out for his friend in a way, and made sure he got, he didn't leave him hanging more or less, and let him take his deal with the Rockets. So he made his decision and got it over with. You really can't. As far as any other players, I mean, I guess you could look at Ray Allen, Mike Miller, and say, they're waiting to sign with the Cavaliers because LeBron may go there. But if that's the case, I'm sure that's just with the Cavaliers. There's not a huge market for Mike Miller, I'm sure, or Ray Allen. I can only assume maybe there might have been another team or two that would sign him. But at the end of the day, there wasn't a huge rush for him to sign. I mean, it's nice that he signed and got it over with. But now, are we going to go on and on about Carmelo Anthony now? Because now Carmelo Anthony is the next one to make a decision. And it was expected that he was waiting for LeBron's decision. LeBron's decision has been made. And we'll see what happens with Carmelo. Supposedly the Bulls are back in the mix. The Lakers, who knows where they stand with Melo at the moment. The Nuggets, but the Knicks look like they are the favorites still at the moment to re-sign Carmelo Anthony. As far as going back to LeBron James, we're kind of seeing this all come back together now. You may see some other players like James Jones likely try to sign on with the Heat, not with the Heat, but with the Cavaliers, with LeBron James. A lot of guys who were with LeBron James in Miami, I'm sure we'll see headed over to the Cavaliers. As far as him and Dan Gilbert, I know I even saw something that it was still kind of up in the air as far as where they both kind of stood. LeBron James was still kind of uncomfortable with the letter, but at the end of the day, LeBron James will kind of have some pull in to some extent, I'm sure, with the Cavaliers. But at the same time, if he really doesn't want to talk to the owner, I'm pretty sure they can work something out where he doesn't have to talk to him, and his agent can do all the talking with the owner, unless there's some sort of meet and greet. Now, as I'm reading the SI report here, I'm seeing Dan Gilbert's name. The letter to Dan Gilbert, the boon of the fans, the jerseys burning, seeing all that was hard for him or for his family. He's saying, seeing something bad, and for his family, I mean LeBron James's family. LeBron James says, "I've met with Dan face to face, man to man. We talked it out. Everybody makes mistakes. I've made mistakes as well. Who am I to hold grudges?" LeBron James says, "I'm not promising a championship. I know how hard that is to deliver." As we all remember, he did the not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4 thing. We're not ready right now. No way, of course. I want to win next year, but I'm realistic. So that's kind of interesting. And he says, "My patience will be tested. It will be a longer process, much longer than it was in 2010. And I know that. I'm going to a situation with a young team and a new coach." I almost forgot about that. Yes, there is the factor of a new coach. Now, this coach, Coach Blatt, I believe is his name, David Blatt, if I have that correct. He has never coached in the NBA before, but he was the EuroLeague Coach of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. He was the Coach of the Year of wherever he's coming from. So the guy's not a bum. But we'll see how it plays out. It'll be nice to see LeBron James and how he fits in with Tristan Thompson, Dion Waiters, and his new point guard in Kyrie Irving, who's kind of been driving the Cavaliers boat for quite some time in the absence of LeBron James over the last 4 years as he's been in Miami. And it's kind of weird to see these two guys, Kyrie Irving and LeBron James, together now, because it was Kyrie Irving who I believe was drafted that following year. After the Cavaliers lost LeBron James, things kind of went down the drain for that first year, and that landed them with their first of 3 number 1 overall picks in the NBA draft in the last 4 years. With that first pick, they did the first pick in the 2011 draft, I believe it was when they took Kyrie Irving, and he has been their guy ever since. He just signed a contract extension for 5 years. I believe it was $90 million. He's considered one of the better point guards in the league. It will also be nice to see LeBron James reunite with Anderson Varejao, who may be the only guy left on that roster from when LeBron James was actually there. Nice to see Varejao still on the roster. Now, that's just as the roster stands right now, with Thompson, Waiters, Irving, and Varejao kind of leading that pack. There's a few other guys in there as well. But that doesn't mean that the roster cannot change. It may change a little bit. Like I said, Ray Allen and Mike Miller and all them may be coming in. So there may be some changes. I'm sure they want to accommodate LeBron in any way they feel will make him comfortable. Which leaves me curious, how much time does Ray Allen have? Is he just trying to do a 1-year deal, 2-year deal? Because even LeBron James is saying they don't. He's realistic, and I'm sure LeBron James will play his heart out to try and deliver a championship in his first year back to Cleveland. But at the same time, he said he is realistic, and he understands that it will take some time for them to kind of get going and get that chemistry going. But if someone like Ray Allen is only there on a 1-year deal, what good will it do him if he's going to play with LeBron just to play with LeBron, or is he there to kind of win another championship, which I'm sure every player's goal is at the end of the day. But if that is the case, then I would assume that maybe Ray Allen would at least sign a 2-year deal. But again, I don't know how much he has left in the tank. I'm not saying that he's not still a valuable asset. But the article with SI ends with "I am ready to accept the challenge. I'm coming home." That is indeed true. He is coming home to the state of Ohio. Quite different as far as the way LeBron James did handle this process. A lot of people were still getting frustrated that he was taking too long. But at the end of the day, you have to respect the way he went about his business this year compared to the way he did it in 2010, which I had even written an article about before, maybe a year or two now ago, in which I wrote this article. But I was seeing it a lot. As I was kind of adding to the sportsmindednews.com website, updating the content with the latest news on LeBron James then, and I would be seeing all these old articles that I did, and one of them was that LeBron James' decision was still handled somewhat better than the way Dwight Howard went about his business, and kind of left a lot of teams in limbo there. Now, don't get me wrong, LeBron James' decision wasn't a cupcake walk in the park by any means. I mean, it was still frustrating for many teams who were appearing to giving up a lot and making sacrifices for someone they weren't even sure was going to go to their team. So now, with that said, I do think, looking back at it, or at least at that time when I wrote the article, Dwight Howard's decision came across as, if not bad, then worse than LeBron James's decision process went in 2010. But LeBron James' decision in 2014, as far as the process is concerned, not really more or less where he decided to go event at the end of the day, but the way he handled his business in 2014 was a lot better than the way he handled it in 2010. He let his agent do a lot of the talking and going to meetings while LeBron James was kind of on vacation, or just kind of out of the spotlight for a little bit. Now, it was kind of interesting to see him heading to Brazil, or I guess he stopped off in Miami. Because most flights going to South America or going to Brazil or whatever the case is, someone was saying South America. Whether Brazil's in South America off the top of my head, I'm not going to go into all that geography stuff, geographical, whatever you want to call it. I'm here to talk about sports, damn it. Anyways, LeBron James, I guess he may have been spending the night catching the morning flight to Brazil. I believe it's a 12-hour flight to Brazil, if I heard correctly. So he would have had a lot of time. Whether or not he was going to make the decision on the airplane, I guess that would have been a first, to make a huge announcement like that as far as free agency is concerned in an airplane. I don't know how they would have done that. But I guess they kind of knew all along what was going to go on. I guess Sports Illustrated was in this situation the whole time. I heard something about, the author of the story, Lee Jenkins, is one of LeBron's favorite guys as far as reporters or something along those lines. So I guess it doesn't come across as a surprise that Lee Jenkins got the scoop. If I'm surprised by more than anything, it was that Brian Windhorst, who LeBron James has said, Brian Windhorst has kind of been the guy that's followed LeBron James since almost day one. So it's kind of weird that you see Lee Jenkins kind of get the story, but that's just from me. I'm not very familiar with Lee Jenkins' work, but I'm sure I will be in the future now that he's kind of gotten stories such like this going for him. And I'm not saying that means I only read big name sports writers, but again, when you have a story like this kind of coming about, for the most part, I didn't know much about Chris Sheridan either, but he was the one who rah-rahing about the whole situation. Now, who his sources were, we don't know, but they were spot on, and they were spot on before, or he was spot on before, and I'm talking about Chris Sheridan now, when he, with the whole Carmelo Anthony decision to go to New York and stuff, when he first did, the first time, not this most recent free agency period, but the last time when he went to New York, he had said he had been talking about that for 2 months, and he kind of, his sources were telling him that for quite a while. So for Chris Sheridan, big shout out to him and his sourcing. He, it was one thing if you're just going to do that, but the guy's been doing sports writing for at least 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. Was with the AP, Associated Press. He was also with ESPN, I believe, at one time. So for him, and I guess to me, it wouldn't have come across as a big deal being a sports journalist that. If he was just saying that's what his sources were telling him and he was 90%, but the fact that he was saying, hey, I wouldn't be putting my neck out there like that if I wasn't willing to bet his I'm talking about what Chris Sheridan was saying, but his more or less his journalism career on this story, more or less, his credibility and whatnot. So big shout out to him. I'm glad it kind of came through for him at the end, because look, around 11 o'clock Pacific time on July the 10th, things were looking kind of bad. I was kind of following Chris Sheridan's Twitter to kind of see, if he was really the only guy kind of going about saying, yeah, LeBron's going to make the decision. I was kind of looking forward to him seeing when it was going to happen, but even as it got later in the night, Chris Sheridan really did not crack at all when it came to what was taking so long with LeBron James, as far as the time span it seemed that was given to Chris Sheridan. But when you think about it, everything is done now as far as LeBron James is concerned in free agency. The only question now is, how long is the deal? Well, I guess we kind of know all that if it's a max deal. As I was talking about earlier with the roster situation, it may change up a little bit from where it is now. I expect Kyrie Irving to still be there. Andrew Wiggins, who was drafted this year in the 2014 draft with the first overall pick, I would only imagine will still be there. He's been rumored to be a part of the trade of trade talks, or whatever the case is going to be, with Kevin Love, who's with the Timberwolves right now. He's kind of been on record of saying he's willing to sign a long-term deal or whatever. He's intrigued by the idea of playing in Cleveland with LeBron James, which was why LeBron James had left the first time, because it appeared that no veteran, or star players were willing to go to Cleveland to play with LeBron James in his younger days. Now, if you want to look at this from a live perspective, it's kind of interesting. LeBron James never went to college. Well, he never played basketball in college. Whether he took online classes or has gotten his degree since then is another thing. I believe he might have been. I don't know if he's gotten the degree or not. At this point, it doesn't really matter what the money he is making. But now, with all that said and done, when you look back at it, he was in Miami for 4 years. The average, or what is expected, or whatever the friendly timetable is that college takes 4 years. LeBron James spent 7 years and was a young adult, more or less, growing up in the NBA, more or less. For the first 7 years he was in Cleveland, before 2010 when he went to Miami and joined Wade and Bosh. They were there for 4 years, won 2 championships together, appeared in the finals 4 straight years, and has won countless MVP trophies. I'm not sure how many he won in Cleveland. I want to say at least 1, but could be wrong there. LeBron James was there for 4 years, won 4 NBA Finals trophies. No, he made the NBA Finals 4 times, won 2 NBA titles. He won 2 MVPs and 2 Finals MVPs. He averaged 26.9 points per game, had averaged 7.6 rebounds per game, and 6.7 assists per game. Pretty impressive stuff by LeBron James, and now you know why he is owed, or not owed, but will be awarded the contract that he will be receiving from the Cavaliers. Now, where does this leave the Miami Heat? I don't know. Dwayne Wade opted out of a $40 million contract, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of money to leave behind. Try to get his friends to stay with him. Didn't work out that way. So we'll have to see where they go. I wonder if Josh McRoberts and Danny Granger are still going to sign with the Heat. Nothing was official, but I mean, even when they signed, it was kind of under the impression LeBron James was going to come back. So who knows who's going to be on the Heat's roster. Dwayne Wade might, only because the market isn't too big for him. Some people are saying the Bulls have the money. If Melo doesn't go to the Bulls, maybe Dwayne Wade can go there. I don't know if the Bulls want Dwayne Wade at this point. I think he is from Chicago or has some ties to Chicago, which would kind of fit right in with the rest of the story. I mean, if you have LeBron James returning home to Ohio, you have, in his home state of Ohio, you have Chris Bosh, who is going to likely sign with the Houston Rockets now that LeBron James has left Miami. Chris Chris Bosh is originally from Texas, the state of Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be interesting, to kind of see the three stars from the big three, kind of if they were all to go to their hometowns or home states in a way. That'd be kind of an interesting story. That would something I would be sure I'd be having a commentary or sharing my thoughts on, like I am now, or I'm sure I would be having some sort of article about it on sportsmindednews.com. So with all that being said, it seems like the situation, the scenario, the LeBron watch for 2014 is officially over. The quote, right here on the top of the article, "I'm coming home," that seems to exactly be the case. LeBron James is a very different player, not very different player, skills and talent-wise. With his overall game. We all knew he was good, he was great. He could have gotten a max contract 4 years ago. But LeBron James is a different player mentally, and he's more of a mature player now than he was 4 years ago, or even, 10 years ago now, or whatever it's been. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years now, maybe, that he's been in the league and he is now the age. Now, he is now 29. I believe his birthday is on New Year's Eve. He'll be 30 years old. But LeBron James is returning to Cleveland, as I mentioned before. Someone who's been in the NBA Finals in the last 4 years, all 4 years in a row. I believe he made the NBA Finals at least one time with Cleveland. LeBron James is a 2-time champion now. You have not just LeBron James, but you have LeBron James winning a championship, winning LeBron James returning to Cleveland. So he'll bring that momentum he's had, that drive, that passion that he has, that I'm sure many players do have in the NBA. And he'll be adding that to, whatever attributes the Cleveland roster currently has as a whole. As far as with the young talent, many probably haven't been to the finals, let alone into the playoffs at that point in their career, with a lot of them still being young. But Kyrie Irving, I don't want to say he's taking a back seat, but he will now be playing the second banana to LeBron James, which isn't always a bad thing. I'm sure this will do nothing but help elevate Kyrie Irving's game, his marketability, I'm sure, his status and whatnot. He was in the Sprite, I believe it was the Sprite commercials. He was in some commercials with the whole Uncle Drew thing, so it's not like he's been without commercials or anything recently. So it'll be interesting to see the way they play. Much like, and this is me kind of going out on a limb, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavaliers lost their first game. It shouldn't be anything that should cause for concern, because I believe the Heat, when the big three got together, I believe they lost their first game, if I'm not mistaken, in the season opener for that season. But yeah, I think just overall, we just now wait for the decision of Carmelo Anthony. If it's not out already, it is 3 p.m. Eastern time at the moment. So let's give that a quick look. We'll see what everyone is talking about. We gotta love Lakers Nation. They're all over my Twitter feed, asking for asking for Carmelo Anthony to please sign with the Lakers. Whether he will, I don't know. Let's see what's going on with Carmelo Anthony. Some are saying the decision is now between the Bulls and the Knicks. Even though he won't be making a decision today, I guess the Lakers are out of it. Let's see. Let's see. The Lakers have been told they are out of the run. So it appears, I guess the Lakers are out. And I guess they're trying to get Jeremy Lin. Whatever. I don't know what to. It's down to the Bulls. Yeah, it's starting to get real with the Knicks. With the Knicks and the Bulls. So the Bulls are back into it. The Lakers are out of it now, which is weird how that's played out. Some other free agents to kind of look forward to. Let's see where Lance Stevenson signs and where Luol Deng signs. We know where Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade are more than likely going to go. There's not expected to be a decision on Friday for Carmelo Anthony, but we'll have to see where that all plays out. I'm sure there will be some more about it in the next few days that will keep everyone interested. As far as trade rumors and stuff, some things that I've written about on sportsmindednews.com is where will players like Paul Gasol be going. I know I said trade rumors, I'll get to that in a minute, but Paul Gasol, for example, he may be, I believe still he'll go where Carmelo does, so I guess at that point, or at least at this point right now, that means he's not going, that Gasol is not returning to the Lakers, if that's the case. But I do expect more than likely expect Gasol to go wherever LeBron James does go. Not LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, excuse me. Just trying to make sure I have all my bases covered with everything going on. Luol Deng, all them. As far as trade rumors, I know I mentioned that earlier. I also mentioned, the rumors about where LeBron, not LeBron, but now that LeBron James is there, we'll have to see. We will have to see where indeed. I know I'm kind of going a little slow with that. I'm kind of looking up a few things. I want to know where Rajon Rondo will go. They signed point guards. They drafted a point guard, Marcus Smart, I believe, and they've signed him already. They had what is his name? Avery Bradley re-signed, which I found interesting. So I mean, you got all these point guards. A lot of people are high on Bradley. Not Avery Bradley. What is his name? I want to make sure I have it right. Let me look that up. Bradley and Smart. So if that's the case, where does Rondo fit in? They've been wanting to trade him for what seems like the last 4 years now. I don't know. It seems like forever now. Even when the original big three for the Celtics were there. So who knows where Rondo's going to go? But I expect him to kind of be traded soon. It'd be a miracle on, I don't know on whose part or what, but it'd be weird to see him there for another 2 seasons at the very least. Some other trade rumors I'm trying to think of. Not think of, but that I've heard about. We'll see where Roy Hibbert is with the Pacers. I mean, supposedly he may be traded. I mean, that kind of almost may be the best situation with whatever's supposedly going on with Paul George. I don't know if what they're saying about Paul George and Roy Hibbert was true during the NBA Finals and all that stuff. But I know Roy Hibbert wasn't at his A game in the NBA. Not the NBA. I don't know if I said NBA Finals right now, but I meant the NBA playoffs. If that is the case, I mean, whatever the situation was in the playoffs, we'll see how that all plays out. I would almost think it'd be a better fit for the Hibbert to leave or to be traded if that's the case, because of what may have happened there. With all the rumors going on in that locker room, not in the locker room, but about that locker room. And as I'm looking up, Jeremy Lin, I guess, officially has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. I guess that's... Oh, well, yeah, okay. That's the move that the Houston Rockets needed to more or less create, I believe. I don't... Whether that's just to bring in... Whether if that's just to bring in Chris Bosh to the max deal, or if that they already had... If they already had the max deal money, then they'll sign Bosh and then bring in, what is his name? I'm drawing a blank at the moment. And bring in Chris Bosh, and then they'll match the offer for Chandler Parsons, who has that deal with the Mavericks right now. So I am reporting right now that Jeremy Lin has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. I believe the Lakers also get a first-round pick out of the deal, for kind of eating that cap space, I guess, or taking the contract. So again, that all leads into the point of them getting Chris Bosh and Chandler Parsons there. I'll have something up on Sports Minded News in the next few minutes regarding the situation of not LeBron James. When you talk about LeBron James for however many days in a row now, it kind of sticks in your head. But with Jeremy Lin in the situation there, and with Bosh now, I guess it seems likely he's going to be going to the Houston Rockets. So the Big Three has officially ended in Miami. Miami's chances for quite some time are in flux. I believe I saw something with the betting odds for the Miami Heat to be 100-1 for them to reach the NBA Finals or win the NBA Finals. I believe the Cavaliers are down to 4-1 at the moment. So I guess if you wanted to bet your money for the Cavaliers to win the championship, you would have done so prior to LeBron James getting there to, I guess, get the most money for what the odds were at that time. But at 4-1, they're more than likely the favorites at the moment, even though I guess it may go up after a while. I don't know how the whole betting stuff works out with that. So whether or not, LeBron James and them will win a championship this year, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they'll shock the world. But instead of rambling on and on, I've seemed to have, kind of finished up everything that's needed to be said for the moment. On July 11th, it's barely hit noon Pacific time. So we still got a full day ahead of us. A lot of things will start falling into place in the NBA free agency. I thank you guys for listening and tuning in. My name is James H. Williams. You can follow me on Twitter. Send me any comments, questions, concerns you have about this podcast, or with sportsmindednews.com, or with just any of your free agency questions or your sports questions in general. I'll try my best to answer them for you guys. And with that being said, again, you can follow me on Twitter at JHWReporter, or you can follow the Sports Minded Twitter account at sports_minded. We'll be more than happy to, more than likely we'll follow you back unless you're a spam account. But if that's the case, I doubt you're listening to this if you're an egg. If you're a Twitter egg. But anyways, with that being said, I'll take my leave now. I hope you guys enjoy your day and you enjoy everything that is going on right now in the sports world. My name is James Williams. See you guys later.